So, Michael Dorn, wow, thank you so much for the time, sir. Let me start by asking you, how are you? How are you during this pandemic? Are you staying safe, sir?
Yeah, even though I'm in that category, I'm, extremely healthy. Um, I work out and I eat really, really healthy and take care of myself, mind and body and everything like that. So, and I'm careful. I social distance, as all of us do, because we're all in the same age group, and so I social distance and I what do you call it? I observe the protocols.
Nice. But does this pandemic put your flying planes hobby to a halt, or do you still fly?
Still fly.
Ah,
Still fly. I mean, it's the same everywhere. They have protocols in place for when you go to the airport, but it's also a choice you have to make because when you are flying, you're pretty close proximity to people.
hmm.
And when you jump in the airplane, close proximity, if you're flying with somebody, a buddy, or whatever the case. And also, but once you get flying, the air is circulated and, you do what you want to. But, it's kind of a choice. What do you want to do? I don't fly that much these days because I sold my airplane that I had probably
Oh,
2 years ago. And so now I just fly when I fly, when I can, with friends or if somebody calls. But I'm in the market for another airplane, and it's just taken a while.
I don't fly, but I jump out of an airplane. I do skydiving, so
Oh,
that's the closest I get to coming with you.
they have the old saying. I'm sure you heard it. Like, why would you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
That's true. Let me tell you, Michael, I've interviewed several Star Trek actors over the years. I've spoken with Tim Russ, I've spoken with even Nichelle, but Worf has always been my favorite. Worf was my favorite. So I'm just curious. I want to ask you, when fans come up to you, when they call you Worf or other Klingon words at you, do you still feel flattered or do you feel disillusioned by that by now?
Well, even when the show was going on, I never got that because I was in full makeup, so they never knew who I was.
Hmm.
They never equated the two, and in fact, I would be out with my friends, the other actors on the show, and people would push by me, because they didn't even know who I was. They pushed by me. Oh my God, I love Star Trek,
Oh
and
no.
only when the first movie came out,
Hmm.
and we did a lot of press for that first movie. Then I started, people on the street would say, oh, wow, you're that guy. But because of the makeup, I don't get that much at all. But I'm totally flattered. I mean, the last time I was in makeup was 2003, 2004, something like that.
Yeah.
And people are still, like, um, they enjoy talking to me or they're excited to talk about the character and everything like that. So yeah, but I'm totally flattered by it. Totally.
You still make time for also small sci-fi projects like Agent Revelation, which arrives this Friday. When
Yeah.
you deal with small budget stuff like that compared to big budget like Star Trek, do you approach both similarly or differently acting wise?
Oh, the same.
Hmm.
Exactly the same. The only difference between the two is that um, the big budget movies, they have money for egos. And the low budget movies, there's no money, there's no time for egos at all. You just have to go do it. But I approach it the same way. There's really no difference. You may get, it may be a little easier in terms of, you have a trailer or you have, the little perks, but it's the same. It really doesn't matter. I mean, you just really have to, kind of be ready for the speed of a small budget movie because they don't take much time.
I've watched the film, by the way, Agent Revelation. You play Alistair, who
Yeah.
mentors Jim, played and directed by Derek Ting, who also wrote the script. What do you think, because you have experience in sci-fi genre, what do you think is unique or stands out about Derek as a sci-fi or science fiction storyteller?
I don't really see him as just a science fiction storyteller, because the movie is science fiction, but it really is a movie about, it really is a story. It has a story about good and evil, right and wrong, all the stuff that I enjoy. Alistair isn't really some alien or something like that. He's a guy that really has some issues, and that he's trying to work through by setting up this whole world, of to try to find these aliens and save the planet. He's really trying to work through the issues, and those issues are very real, and they have to do with today. So it's not really, it's a sci-fi movie, but it's a sci-fi movie in the way that I like sci-fi movies, which is they have good special effects, but a great story.
I feel like Alistair and Worf can be like friends, but in this odd couple, kind of Felix and Oscar sort of way. Do you think?
No, I don't. I think that well, yeah, because they're opposite. Yes, because they're opposite. Worf wouldn't like Alistair. Worf is a very, right and wrong kind of guy.
What I love about Worf is that, because I grew up watching STTNG, is that he's funny without intentionally being funny, without realizing that he said something funny. He's gruff, he's badass, but he's got this naivete that's humorous about him. Was that always the writer's intention from the beginning to make him that way, or did you have some contribution to that?
It was a real kind of a fluke. There was a show the first year that we did, and I can't remember the name of it, but they wrote just kind of a line. It was kind of a throwaway line, or maybe they thought, it would be something other than what it turned out. And it was just 2 words. It was nice planet. And they said that they ran that back in the editing room like 20 times, laughing at it, because they thought it was the funniest thing they ever heard. And from that moment, that's when they started writing, Worf lines. And they were always very good about it, because they never made it like, oh, he's trying to be funny. It's just a line, and the way he delivered it was just hilarious. And so, and that's how it happened. All I did was say the line just like I was serious about it. And exactly. And they just loved it.
Prior to this interview, Michael, because I'm part of this huge fans of Star Trek, I asked my fellow STTNG fans if they have a question for you. I can only pick one, because obviously we don't have the time in the world, but if you would be so kind to answer this one from
Sure.
A fan named Diana Kruger. She asked, how do you feel about Kalar's storyline?
Oh, I thought it was really, really good. I thought they did a really, really good job. And Susie Plaxton played the character beautifully. She played one other character on the show, but she was, she's tall, and she's, statuesque. And so, they made a great couple. And she's the one who is, like, as they say in England, she was always taking the piss out of Worf, and Worf just hated that. She's always, making fun of, oh, well, I won't bite. Well, I would, and he'd go, oh God, but interestingly enough, to that story, they wanted, one of the writers, I never forget, Morris Hurley, came up to me and said, hey, Michael, we were trying to figure out what would piss Worf off. Because we really want to see him get pissed off, like murderously pissed off. And I said, well, and just kind of off the cuff, I just go, well, if he killed his old lady, probably he'd be pissed at that. and they wrote it in. And I was like, oh God. And I apologized to Susie, I don't know how many times, like, I'm really sorry because that wasn't my intention, but it's what happened. I thought that they were wrong in killing her. Yeah. I mean, you really never kill a character because you want to bring them back at some point, especially Plaxton. You know you got to have to bring her back.
I know.
And so, but she was great. She was great, and she was, you have to be kind of bold and out there to play a Klingon, and she was really, really bold and out there.
But also, for a lot of us, Kalar, Worf's romance with Kalar was like really impactful, storyline wise.
Also, what's very impactful about it, I thought, was that, and also the thing that Worf was never a great father. Mm-hmm. I mean, he really struggled mightily, for years, until like the last year on Deep Space Nine. He was not a great father. He didn't have a great relationship. And I liked that because it was real. It was opposite of what usually writes is that, oh, great father, they get together and they go out in space. And it wasn't like that. And I like that.
A bird told me that you might reprise your Worf role for Picard season 2. Is that correct? Can we settle that?
They have not asked me.
Oh.
They have not asked me.
But you would return.
Huh?
But you would come back if the opportunity.
I got to say the thing that people, and it's not their fault and it's not malicious, but they just don't realize is that it's a lot of makeup. It's 3 hours of makeup. And even if you go, yeah, that'd be great, I still go, oh my God, 3 hours of makeup. Do I want to do that again? So there's a lot of things that have to fall into place for that to happen. I mean, the story would have to be a great story. And it couldn't be just a cameo, because I just couldn't see myself getting a makeup for a cameo. It just, the only thing that really kind of eases the burden is that I'd be hanging out with Patrick, because Patrick and I mean, we all are very close, and we would have such a great time, and I miss that from the old days, and that would be a really wonderful thing to do. But like I said, even if they asked, there would be so many things that have to fall into place. I mean, I actually wrote a spinoff for Worf.
Huh, they did?
Yeah. Really, I mean, I wrote it many years ago and tried to get it done. And, there was a lot of interest and there's no interest. And there's a lot of interest and no interest. Kind of went round and around like that. But I think that there's a place for him in Star Trek. And what I wrote is a great take on the whole Star Trek genre. Nothing, out of the box or anything like that, but just another look at it from a different standpoint. You're kind of looking at, because we look at the Klingons through the Federation eyes. Mm-hmm. Okay. But this one, we're looking at the Federation through the Klingon eyes. Mm. And so it is, but there still is Federation, there still is Starfleet, that's not gone, but it's just a more Klingon story. And so, I'd love to do that. That would be the way to get me to put on the makeup again.
I'm wondering, what do you think of Star Trek Discovery? Have you watched it? Because it's a long story form. It's not procedural like The Next Generation. What do you think about the whole show?
I've only watched the first couple of episodes, and I thought that it was Star Trek, which is good. It still kind of had that Star Trek feel, but you're right. I mean, the long form is great for binging, but to, Discovery's on, you turn it on, you're lost. You really are lost. And they're talking about things and you're going, I don't know who these people are. I don't know where they come from. I don't know anything,
Exactly.
So it makes it a little difficult to watch it. But I was very, very happy with what they did with the series. I mean, there was a moment when I was going to be on the show. It didn't work out, but they had contacted me about being on the show. Yeah, the thing that I thought was hilarious is I became not great friends, but I talked to Mary Chifo a lot. Really, really wonderful actress and a lovely human being. And here's this fabulous actress, and you don't see anything. The first year, I mean, they had this monstrous makeup, and I'm going, why would you do that to her? Then they changed it. I guess they changed it the second season. So, but it is, like I said, I think that they kind of came around to what we already knew, was that Star Trek has a place in the business, and they're finally realizing that. And we knew it 20 years ago. We knew that because those conventions were huge and the fan base was huge, and we were just going, what are you guys waiting for? But it worked out really well, and I'm happy for Patrick too. I think I've always been a Patrick fan, so whatever he does, I'm going, oh, he's fabulous.
So outside Las Vegas Star Trek conventions, do you hang out regularly with Brent, Jonathan, Marina, Patrick, and especially in this pandemic, do you keep in touch through Zoom, perhaps?
We had a Zoom meeting. We usually have Christmas parties. We get together for Christmas. That's when we all make the time to actually see each other in person. But we communicate all the time on text. Or if somebody has, we'll call, like I'll call Marina all the time. I'll call Brent. I'll call Jonathan, and they'll call. I mean, so we all are still very tight. And I don't. And believe me, I don't say that, flippantly. I mean, we really are tight. We really are a tight group, and still, we just have a ball. In fact, I was saying people should watch or try or see our texts, because somebody will say something. Like Marina will say, "Oh, I'm doing a show," or "I'm doing this," and then you'll see a bunch of text, and we're all like taking the piss out of her, just over and over, and getting funnier and funnier and funnier, and it's like like an all-day thing. So we still are extremely close. In fact, an interesting thing, we had when Patrick's show started, we did a convention in Vegas, and we were all kind of sitting around, and it was announced that Jonathan and Marina were going to do a guest spot. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan, before COVID and before all this stuff, Jonathan and I would get together at least twice a month for a lunch someplace, because he was very busy living on the East Coast and whatever the case, and directing a lot. And so I said, "Hey, look, John, this is our lunch. What are we going to do? Our lunch?" And he goes, "Yeah, I know. Well, why don't you come to the set?" Mm-hmm. And I go, "Oh, I'd love to. That's a good idea." And LeVar was standing there, and LeVar goes, "Hey, I want to come." And we said, "Sure, yeah, come on, let's go." And Marina was working that day and everything like that. So we all went to the set, and it was Jonathan and me and Brent and Marina. No, Jonathan, me, Patrick, Marina. And at lunchtime, we all were sitting in this place outside that was away from the house that they were filming. And people were like they were amazed that we were still laughing and loudly. I mean, just making fun of each other and having a great time. And people are going, "I didn't believe it, but you guys really are like this." And we're going, this is the way it was every day. And so we just haven't lost that loving feeling. So.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Michael, I wish I could talk with you forever and ever, but our time is up.
Okay, I appreciate it.
From the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you enough for this time and opportunity. Congratulations on Agent Revelation.
Thank you very much, man.